Hello everyone. In the midst of the house being devastated by the storm, the foster brother that the police thought they had lost contact with suddenly appeared. Not only did he help fix each brick, he also told an emotional story of the past that made both of them choke up. This unscheduled reunion revealed many untold secrets. Early in the morning, the fog still covered the deserted country roads. The weak sunlight filtered through the foliage as Khan's motorbike left town. Upon receiving the news that the house of Sinnhat and his wife, his close adopted sister, had been destroyed by the storm, he did not hesitate to immediately set out to visit. When Khan arrived, he saw a familiar but heartbreaking scene: a stilt house on stilts, the corrugated iron roof blown away by the wind, and the front yard was littered with pieces of wood, bricks, mortar, and leaves. In the middle of the mess, Hang, Sinnhat's husband, was struggling to climb up to the roof, holding an old hammer, trying to fix the peeling corrugated iron sheets. Seeing Khan enter the gate, Hang happily shouted, "Oh, thank goodness, you're here. I was worried about how to get back in time before it rained again." Khan didn't say anything, just nodded. Hang wiped the sweat off her forehead, then invited him into the house. "Come in and have a drink of water. I'll tell you how terrible that night was." The house was still covered in water and dirt. The small table had been wiped clean. Hang poured Khan a glass of water, then sat down and sighed. Anne's voice still trembled slightly as he recalled. "That night was very windy, bro. The whole family was sleeping when they heard a screeching sound as if the roof was about to tear off. I jumped up and hugged my child, while Nhat ran out to the yard to check. Before I could do anything, the corrugated iron sheet fell right next to the door. The roof behind the house was blown away, and the rain splashed in, soaking the blankets and curtains. The three of them quickly hugged each other and ran to the hut on the other side of the hill, which was located low down and not very windy." Hearing that, Khan clenched his hands. Although he had prepared himself mentally, when he witnessed the devastation and heard what they had gone through, his heart couldn't help but choke up. "Is there anything missing now?" he asked, glancing at the punctured roof and cracked wall. Hang nodded. "The corrugated iron sheet is not enough. The plywood is rotten. It can't hold up anymore. Nhat is borrowing from some friends to buy more corrugated iron, bro." Khan began to list: corrugated iron, nails, shingles, even several meters of broken electric wire. The two of them sat down and calculated carefully, while working, telling each other old stories. Despite the dire circumstances, in Hang's eyes, there was a bit of relief, knowing that she was not alone. After calculating everything, Khan called them to bring the materials. After a while of waiting, the material truck arrived. Mr. Khan carefully checked each item: corrugated iron, cement, bricks, electric wires. Everything was complete. He and Hang carried each bag of materials inside together. The driver saw that and enthusiastically helped, carrying each sheet of corrugated iron into the house without stopping. The atmosphere became lively. Everyone was enthusiastic. When the job was done, Hang paid the driver and sincerely thanked him. He just smiled gently. "It's nothing. I'm happy to be able to help." After the materials were brought into the house, no one rested for long. The four of them quickly got to work, without anyone telling them, each doing a very rhythmic task. Khan and his mother took charge of bringing each sheet of corrugated iron onto the roof. They took turns carrying it, then placing the ladder and lifting it up carefully to avoid distorting the corrugated iron. Below, Sinnhat held the ladder firmly for Hang, who was on the roof. Hang was wearing a shirt, holding the drill tightly in her hand. He stood firmly on the wooden crossbar, carefully drilling each hole into the wood to screw the corrugated iron. Sweat was running down his forehead, but his face was still full of determination. The creaking sounds echoed regularly in the quiet space of the afternoon. After a while, the wind started to blow harder, and the sun became more intense on the hot corrugated iron roof. Hang tried hard but still could not hide her fatigue. Sweat ran down her back, wet her shirt, stuck to her body, making him uncomfortable and gradually exhausted. Standing below, Khan saw the fatigue clearly on Hang's face. He glanced at Sinnhat and said softly, "Okay, let me go up and work with you to reduce the fatigue." In the yard, Sinnhat and his mother stood silently, their eyes never leaving the roof. Each step Khan and Hang took on, the corrugated iron made a dry sound, making their hearts clench. After many hours of hard work, the last sheet of corrugated iron was finally firmly attached to the roof. Khan breathed a sigh of relief, and Hang smiled in relief. Down in the yard, Sinnhat and his mother rushed to hold the ladder, carefully helping hang down. "It's done," Can said, his voice full of relief. The whole family looked up at the new roof. Everyone was happy. Not only was the roof re-roofed, but it also lit up new hope in everyone's hearts. After many days of hard work in the sun and rain, the whole family finally finished re-roofing the house. Everyone sat together under the porch, gathered around the table to drink warm tea. Everyone's face was filled with relief after a series of difficult days. Sinnhat's mother happily told old stories, while Sinnhat's husband kept joking, making everyone laugh. The family atmosphere was bustling at that time, as if nothing could interrupt. However, right at that moment, Sinnhat's foster brother suddenly lowered his voice, as if he had been harboring something in his heart for a long time. He put down his bowl, his eyes absent-mindedly, looked out into the yard and said, "Recently, my ex-lover's life has been miserable. I heard that she was beaten by her husband, living in fear and humiliation every day." The sentence made everyone suddenly fall silent. Was silent, looking at Can with eyes that were half confused, half wary. Mom was also stunned, and Sinnhat frowned slightly because she had never heard Can mention her ex during her previous visits home. Can continued, more slowly, as if weighing each word. "I kept thinking about it. Even though we broke up a long time ago, if the person I loved was now in such a situation, should I go back to help her?" The atmosphere in the house immediately became heavy. The word "go back" sounded like a cut in his mother's heart. Put down her cup, her voice low but clear. "What kind of help do you mean by helping? Do you mean wanting to go back to be her support, or wanting to rekindle the old love?" Can paused for a moment, then shook his head. "It's not about getting back together. I just can't bear it. She was the one who was with me for so many years, now living such a miserable life. I feel like I've abandoned her." Sinnhat sat next to him, calmly speaking. "Brother KNH, I understand that you are a person who lives with affection, but not everything can go back to the way it was before. If it's just because of a feeling of guilt, will that really help her? Or will it just hurt the person in the present?" Can looked at Sinnhat, somewhat confused. It was true that he didn't know what he wanted. He only knew that a few days ago, when he heard that his ex-lover was beaten by her husband and hospitalized, an indescribable sadness suddenly welled up in his heart. So many old memories came flooding back. He remembered the days when they were poor. The two of them overcame difficulties together. The times she held his hand and cried because her family didn't accept her. Even though they had broken up, he had never truly severed that affection. "I know, it wouldn't be right to say this when the whole family was happy," Can said softly, "but I'm really confused. I don't want to stay silent and keep it in my heart forever." Sinnhat's mother spoke softly, but her voice was resolute. "My child, the past is something to be cherished, but it cannot decide the present. If you think that going back to help someone will make things better, then you should think again. A man cannot throw away his current peace just because he feels sorry for a woman." She gently put down the teacup, her eyes, looking at Can, filled with love. "My child, I know that you are an emotional person. I feel sorry for anyone who suffers. But listen to me sincerely. Love does not always mean turning back." Can lowered his head, silent. Mother continued, her voice not harsh, just like a stream of water flowing silently through her adopted son's troubled heart. "The ex is a part of memory, not a lifelong responsibility. Helping someone should be done correctly, at the right time, in the right way. If you really want her to escape suffering, you can ask for help from the law, from professionals." She sighed, her eyes following Sinnhat, the little daughter she raised since she was a child, then looked at her kind son-in-law. "Look at She and Nhat are the present. They are this house. They are the people who braved the storm with you, rebuilt the corrugated iron roof. You saw every piece of wood. Don't let a moment of weakness make everything shake, my child." Can slowly nodded, his eyes suddenly filled with tears. "I understand, Mom. I won't let the past hurt the present anymore." Mom smiled, gentle but decisive. "Then I can rest assured." It was noon. The sun was shining brightly on the newly installed corrugated iron roof. Can stood up, brushed off the dust, then turned to whisper, "I'll ask for your permission, Mom, Sinnhat. I'll go home first. Thank you everyone for listening." Mom nodded, her eyes gentle as she saw him off to the gate. Although she was still a little worried, she knew Can understood what was most important. At this time, Only mother and husband were left at home. The whole family was busy cleaning up the unfinished kitchen. Everything was gradually put back in order as if there had never been a moment of slackness. The family atmosphere, although interrupted for a moment, eventually returned to its original warmth and closeness. Thus, an emotional afternoon ended with understanding, forgiveness, and hope. After finishing their work, Heng and Sinnhat took their little son to the stream to bathe. The cool, flowing water made everyone feel relaxed. Heng waded in first, then helped Nhat and the little boy down. Later, the little boy laughed loudly when his father splashed water on him, while Nhat sat on the bank washing his face, watching the father and son play, feeling lighthearted. In the midst of the peaceful nature, their laughter echoed throughout the stream, as if erasing all the fatigue and heavy thoughts of the morning.
Bố là món cà sữa đời, tấm lưng gầy gáy rối rời tháng năm. Bố không nói yêu âm thầm, nhưng con thấy cả trăm lần thương con. Dẫu đi xa vẫn nhớ còn